Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I'm your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. And welcome to another one of my Am I a Chap review series, in which I invite you gentlemen to send me images of yourselves in your finest sartorial attire. And I will of course give you my observations and views, and maybe even the odd steer here and there as to how you may improve your look, or just to celebrate your look and to inspire and motivate the many viewers who watch this series to dress better themselves. There's no negativity here, by the way. There's all positive views and thoughts. I don't do any negativity when it comes to men's attire. It's all about improvement, not about denigrating somebody about the way they dress. And today's subject is a gentleman called Reg. Now, Reg is a very smart gentleman. I believe he's been on the Am I a Chap series in the past, but today is something of a special, because over the last 6 months I've done two Am I a Chap special versions on frugality, and two gentlemen, one from Britain, one from the United States, sent in their very best frugal Am I a Chap ensemble, and both of the gentlemen set out to dress themselves exceptionally well for a very small amount of money, and it was ably achieved in both occasions. But today, a total juxtaposition, the polar opposite. This is an Am I a Chap luxury edition, and Reg is a gentleman who knows how to dress well, and he has put together an outfit where I'm not going to say money was of no consequence, but certainly he wasn't afraid to get his wallet out of his back pocket when it came to dressing himself. So let's have a look at Reg. And initially you can see, of course, very smart, very attractive outfit of clothing, very easy on the eye. An ensemble in this occasion which could be worn, shall we say, smart casually. It's not a suit of clothes, it's more of an ensemble of trousers and a jacket and the associated accessories. Now, it's the provenance of all of the clothing which makes it particularly special for us today. And let's start from the ground up, shall we? As I always do in these reviews. And in this case, the crowning glory of the outfit is actually where we begin, where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, because what we're looking at here is a pair of split-toe derbies manufactured by one of the best bespoke shoemakers in the world, George Cleverley. Now, George Cleverley is not a long sort of standing heritage company. They've only been around since the late 1950s. And the original founder, George Cleverley, died at the age of 93 a number of years ago, but he was still working in the company at the age of 93. Such was his commitment to the excellence of the footwear. Now, as you can see from Reg's shoes, these split-toe derbies, they are absolutely glorious to look at. There's that hatching, or whatever the graining on the leather, as you might describe it, is immediately the thing which draws your eye. And of course, it's a rather classic design, you know, a shoe which you can imagine being worn in what I would describe more casual situations because of the split toe, and you can see the seam on the toe of the shoe. It sort of delineates these shoes away from the very most formal. But what's very special about these shoes is the material from which they are manufactured. They are made of something called Russian reindeer leather. And the story of Russian reindeer goes back to 1879, when the good ship Meta Cathinria, I can't say its name very well, but it sank in a storm off the coast of Plymouth. And it was carrying a store of the fabled Russian reindeer leather at the time that it sank. The leather on board was bound for Geneva. However, a storm brewed up, the ship went down, and the whole cargo was lost on board the ship. Lost forever, so one might have thought, until 1973, 200 years later, when the wreck was discovered by the Plymouth Scuba Diving Club. Whilst they were on their sort of adventures in the waters around Plymouth, and they discovered the wreck of the Meta Carinthia. I can't say it. Anyway, there we are. I give it my best shot. Now, the cargo of the leather was found to be in remarkably perfect and usable condition because it had been cured in its original format in rye and oak flour and yeast, and it had been hand embossed with that sort of hatched graining on the leather. It was in perfect condition. I can't tell you why. Maybe it was, covered over with silt while it was on the bottom of the ocean or whatever. But when it was raised up, it was discovered to be in usable condition. So Mr. George Cleverley, Senior, the original George Cleverley, he purchased all of the materials and has since been making these Russian reindeer shoes and a number of other accessories. I think he makes wallets and a few other things from this very special and very limited material. I believe because it was off the coast of Devon, Cornwall, there was something to do with the wreck technically being owned by the Duke of Cornwall, which is of course a subsidiary title of the Prince of Wales. And at the time in 1973 that was Charles, who is now of course King Charles. But at the time he was the Prince of Wales, and I believe he had to give permission for this material to be raised and used in this way. And I believe one of his stipulations was that he had a pair of these shoes. So it's believed that a pair of these split-toe derbies are actually in the possession of good King Charles. So what a fantastic start to this outfit. Now, these are all bespoke made, all right? So in the making of a bespoke shoe, particularly by a remarkable heritage brand such as George Cleverley, who make these in London, I believe the starting point would be that a last or an image, a wooden facsimile of the gentleman's foot would be made, and then the shoe would be fashioned around that last, so that it fits perfectly, and it is a magnificent end result as a consequence. So they are a unique and bespoke item for each individual gentleman. Now the cost of these things, I don't know the cost. Reg, very sensibly, hasn't furnished me with the amount of money he spent on these items, but I know it to be several thousands of British pounds, maybe 3, 4, 5, I couldn't tell you. Thousands of pounds, obviously very expensive. But what you end up with is a very unique shoe, which you will not bump into somebody else wearing these as you walk around town, that's for sure. What a great start. And the colour is beautiful, the graining is beautiful. I think it is a perfect shoe for what would be a more casual outfit, because a derby, the lacing system and the split toe makes it a little more casual. Now let us move up the attire and let's look at those trousers. Now Reg has told me that the trousers and the jacket both were manufactured for him, bespoke, by Huntsman. Now, before we talk about Huntsman, let's just have a look at those trousers. They appear to be, they're nice trousers. I can't tell whether they're pleated, but the break of the trouser, or where it finishes on the shoe, is where I would look for a pair of trousers to break on the lacing system, so that none of the sock is visible when the gentleman is standing in a natural position. We can see that there is a crease running down the front. Crease could be a little bit sharper, Reg, if I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to level any criticism, but they are a nice blue pair of trousers, cuffed, or they have a turn up at the bottom, and yes, they are lovely, indeed they are. What more can I say? A very nice colour match, I would say, as well, or say colour match, they go very nicely along with those outstanding George Cleverley shoes. Now moving up the body, we see what one would describe maybe a sports jacket or a blazer, and it is a blue jacket again. What does Reg tell me about these? Not a great deal, other than the fact they were also made for him by Huntsman. And what we see is a single-breasted notch lapel jacket, which you get the hint that it is bespoke by the way it fits on the shoulder. The lapels are quite nicely proportioned. The sleeve finishes where we would expect, and we can see about a ½ an inch of the gentleman's shirt poking out from under that sleeve, which also is what we would expect. The very nice just hint of that white sleeve showing that you've gone to the attention of detail. And what can I say? It's a lovely jacket. It fits well. The length is perfect in the body. Yeah, it's a really nice garment. And it's made by Huntsman. Now, Huntsman is that brand, that tailors who sit in the very heart of Savile Row in London. In fact, they sit in number 11 Savile Row in London, and they've been around since 1849. So now celebrating 171 years as a bespoke tailor at the very heart of sartorial elegance in the world, because Huntsman are regarded as one of the best tailors in Savile Row, and also one of the very most expensive tailors in Savile Row. They perhaps had a bit of a bump in the consciousness of the common man in recent years, because they were the tailoring house which featured in the films Kingsman. Certainly the first two movies anyway. And you know, when you see the Kingsman agents going into that store, the tailors in London to get measured up, and then going down to the the subterranean headquarters where all of the sort of accoutrements of the spy were kept, actually that was Huntsman's tailors in Savile Row. And if you walk down Savile Row, you look up at Huntsman and you see it, you remember it from the film. And they are a spectacular tailors, regarded as one of the very best. And Reg certainly knew where he was going when he went for those trousers and that jacket. I wouldn't like to guess the cost of a suit from Huntsman. I'm led to believe that it's going to be an absolute minimum starting price of £5,000 British if you went in to have a suit made. So what a pair of trousers and a jacket cost, we can only guess, but I think it fits Reg rather well. It makes him look broad-chested and strong and powerful in his silhouette, gives him a distinctive silhouette of the shoulders, exactly what we would expect a well-tailored jacket to do. Now, looking at the shirt, let us look at the shirt. What we see is a beautiful white shirt, nice regular sort of spread to the collar, and yeah, we can see it poking out beyond the sleeves of Reg's jacket. What do we know about it? Well, Reg tells me it's a Turnbull and Asser shirt. Now, Turnbull and Asser have their shop in Jermyn Street, not too far from Savile Row actually, just around the corner, but Jermyn Street is the very heart of Chapness for London. It's where you will find, many of the other fantastic places that a gentleman seeks to visit when they're visiting London, like Taylor of Bond Street, like George Trumpers, like florists, perfumers. All of these places that gentlemen love to go. They're all in the street, and they're right amongst them is Turnbull and Asser. Now, Turnbull and Asser have been around since 1885, so they've been going for 138 years. And interestingly, whilst we recently talked about King Charles, when he became Prince of Wales, King Charles obtained the right to be able to issue a royal warrant to people, to organisations, bodies and people that he purchases goods and services from. And the royal warrant, for those who are uninitiated, is a kind of royal stamp of approval, which indicates that whatever services or goods or items which are provided to the royal household, they meet the very highest standard. Now, when King Charles, as Prince of Wales, issued his first ever royal warrant, it was to Turnbull and Asser. So they have got a lot of heritage and a lot of history with our good King Charles. And they make their shirts in Gloucestershire, just up the road from me here in the south of England, and their shirts are renowned. Now, I own a number of their shirts. However, all of mine have been picked up from eBay at a knockdown price. A bespoke shirt from Turnbull and Asser will typically cost around about, well, starting price £250, I believe, but you can't just go in there and buy one. To have a bespoke shirt made, you have to commit to, I believe, buying about 6 or something like that, because they obviously make a template of your body. They make an initial sort of practice shirt which you wear for a while to make sure it's the perfect fit, and then they go ahead and they'll commission a run of shirts in the size that you seek. You can have any one of hundreds if not thousands of materials, and you can choose any number of specializations to your shirt. You know, there's any number of different collars you can choose, any number of different cuffs you can choose, from French cuff, cocktail cuffs, barrel cuffs, whatever you want. They'll do it for you, and it'll be a perfect fit, and it'll be remarkable quality which will last the decades. So, you know, Reg has got the very best shirts here, and it's absolutely delightful to see this ensemble on one gentleman. Now, looking at the accessories, which are of course, you know, often where the devil in the detail lies, Reg tells me that his tie, his pocket square, and his socks, which are not visible to us, but they look rather splendid. His socks, tie and pocket square have all been produced for him or purchased from Drake's. Now Drake's is perhaps one of the lesser known brands that we'll talk about today, but it was founded by a chap called Michael Drake in 1977, and they specialise in producing a number of accessories and other items for gentlemen of the very highest quality. Very quickly, in what is essentially just 40 or so years, they've risen to the point where they are now considered to be one of the absolute go-to places for these items. And when we look at Reg's selection here, I think he's nailed it with this tie. You often hear me saying these things with ties, but gentlemen tend to be a little too conservative for my tastes when they select a tie. They tend to wear a tie which pales into insignificance when seen with the rest of the outfit. I often like to see a gentleman wearing a little more of a bolder colour or a pattern which stands out, because your tie is one of the very small areas of your outfit in which your personality can be reflected. And I think Reg, in choosing a largely burgundy coloured tie with a repeating pattern within it, draws the eye, yet in a conservative and stylish way. So I think it is perfect. It seems to be a half Windsor knot, perfect for filling that regular spread in the collar of his shirt. And in the pocket, we just see a pocket square, just a hint of it. We can see that it is a lighter colour, maybe a yellow, but it has burgundy piping around the edge, which ties it all in perfectly with the outfit. So all in all, I think Reg has done a fantastic job. Now the other thing, which is only just visible in the main picture, but he's thankfully given us a close-up of it, is his wristwatch, because as I say, the devil is in the detail. And George tells us that his wristwatch is a Chopard. In fact, what is it? He tells me the model. It is a Quattro, a 43mm manual wind in white gold. And what a beautiful, very classic, very elegant dress watch, one would say. Little large for me personally at 43mm, because I've got a wrist more towards the smaller side at 6.5 inches. But I think looking at Reg, he's got more size on his wrist, so he carries that watch off very ably. This is one of the pieces, again, where a lot of money is tied up. I do know that these watches are over £20,000, so it is a spectacular piece, undoubtedly at the very top of the horological world. I know it's got a 9-day power reserve, and that the movement within, which as we know is manual wind, is certified by COSC, which indicates that it's of the very highest level of accuracy with regards to timekeeping. But I think it's a perfect combination. You can see that the leather band actually ties in with those George Cleverley shoes. So lovely, lovely combo, I have to say. Now my overall observation with the outfit is fantastic. Obviously, it's made of the very finest component parts. The shoes, well, who wouldn't love shoes like that? The jacket, the shirt, the tie. The only observation I'm going to make here for Reg is his selection of his trousers, or moreover, the colour of his trousers. As you can see, the trousers are a blue colour and the jacket is also of a blue colour. And initially, from a distance away, you might be mistaken into thinking that this is a suit, because the colours are so closely aligned, they almost would, from a distance, blend together. You would think it's a suit. But actually, when you get a little closer, you understand that the gentleman is wearing a sports jacket with odd trousers. And in this case, the trousers are beautiful. However, if they were of a different shade of colour, maybe for instance they were grey, or maybe if it was more of a summer day, if they were a beige or something from the more khaki or neutral selection, I think the overall appearance of the outfit would be a little better defined, because having the trousers so close in colour to the jacket, it runs the risk of blending them both together to the point where you can't tell that it is a sports jacket and trousers. Just my thoughts. I mean, I think it works rather well, don't get me wrong, no negativity here, but I'm just saying, if it was me, and if it was just me, if it was me with this outfit, I think I'd have gone for a khaki pair of trousers. I think the contrast would have been more clear and obvious, and it might have been a little bit more wearable, a bit more of a preppy style, but all in all, I have to say, Reg, I've absolutely loved this walk down the world of total luxury when it comes to the ensemble of one's clothing. Beautiful. You are a fortunate man to get the opportunity to wear such wonderful clothing on a daily basis, and clearly to have gone into stores like George Cleverley and Huntsman and Turnbull and Asser and had the privilege, the pleasure of commissioning items of such fine quality. You have my absolute envy, sir. Pleasure. And it's so wonderful that you've shared your items with us here today. I can say without fear that you are absolutely a chap and look totally dapper and smart as you stride the streets of the world in the very finest clothes which a gentleman can have made. So thank you for sending your images in. Now, if you gentlemen are out there and you've got an item or a suit of clothing that you would like me to give you my observations on, I would encourage you to send it in. Send me an email with those images, as big an image you can from head to toe, maybe some close-ups on the items that you'd like, your shoes and things like that you'd like me to focus on, and best quality images, and send them to the email address you will find in my main YouTube page in the About section. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, click the red button and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Contribute to the conversation by leaving a comment in the comment section. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee or you can join as a patron, because I've now got a patron section on the Patreon site in which I provide additional content for my very valued patrons, whose names you will see coming up at the end of the video. So until the next time, take care, dress sharp, and I will see you again very soon.